So before we go into function, let us first see an example of a function. So this is used to calculate the area of a rectangle. So first we will give the header file. After that we will write what is called as a function declaration. So function declaration is just to give an introduction to the compiler about what that function is doing. So here this is called as the name of the function. So we are going to write it as area. You can give any name. Then these will be the arguments or the variables that will be passed to that function. The int represent the return type of that function. So next, all C programs should have one main function. So we have to write the main function. And inside the main function, we can do function calling. So inside this, we are going to declare two variables and we are going to pass two arguments called as 5 and 6, or you can give any variables also, that is passed to the function named area. So once the function is called, the control is passed from the calling function to the called function. So it will come over to here. This is where the task of the function is written. So function definition will have what it does or the task that function is doing. Inside function definition, we will be declaring some local variables. This variable will not be available to other part of the program. Then here we are getting two variables. They are int a and int b. So the value 5 will go to a and the value 6 will go to b. And we are declaring a local variable called int areas. And then that is multiplied. That is areas is equal to 5 into 6. So now areas will have the value 30. The value 30 is returned. So once it is returned, that value will go back to where it was called. So now v will contain the value 30. The variable v can be now printed inside the main function. Similarly, we can call that function again. So once that function is called, we are going to pass two variables, or we are going to pass two arguments, that is 7 and 8. That is going to come to the called function, and once it comes to the called function, a will get the value 7 and b will get the value 8. Then we have already declared this, so now it will get the value 7 into 8 and the value 56 is calculated and the value 56 is now returned to the main function. So now j will contain the value 56. So 56 is now printed. Now as you can see, areas is an integer value and that integer value 56, or in the previous case 30, was returned. And that return type, if it is a float, we will write here float. If it is integer, we will write integer. And if nothing is returned, we will write it as void. So this is a basic example of what a function is doing. We must understand that a function contains three aspects. One is called the function declaration, where we will write similar to that of a function definition. Along with that, we will write a semicolon. Then we will write the function definition over here. The function definition will contain what it is doing. So the variables that are declared inside the function definition will not be passed on to other parts of the function. This is a 3-mark question which is present in the model question paper. So we can divide the function, why we declare or why we need function or why we are having modules inside function. This is a 3-mark question in the model question paper and it describes why we require modules or why we require function. Another term to say is why we require modularization. Or it could be also the advantages of using a function. Why we are using function is because we can reuse it. As we have seen earlier, we are calling the function two times. This 2 and the 3 is used to call the function. We are doing two set of calculation. The first time 30 was returned and the second time 56 was returned. Whatever it may be, if we have to call it for 10 times, then we can do it 10 times, but we are writing this function definition only once. Now the code will make it better readable, and we can also test and debug easily. Errors will be less because we are reducing the size of the code, and the program development will be easier. As I told before, there are two types of function. One is inbuilt function or library function, and the second one is user-defined function. Inbuilt function or library function we have learned previously. These are functions which have got meaning that have been already present inside the compiler. So example is printf, scanf, getf, etc. All those functions which have got predefined meanings. Next we have got user-defined function, and user-defined function is written by us. Like what I showed previously, area is a user-defined function that we wrote to calculate the area of a rectangle. Next we have parts of a function. Already we have seen them: function declaration, function calling, and function definition. So we saw that function declaration is to give an idea to the compiler about what is the return type and what are the arguments that are passed to the function. These are called as the argument which will be passed to the function, and in the front of that function name we will write the return type. So we must understand that int is the type of the variable that will be returned to the calling function. Basket is the name of the function, and int x, char y, and float z are the three arguments that are passed to the function. Void here indicates that the function is not returning anything. The name of the function is sum, and the argument that is given to the function is b, and it is of type double. Here the function name is r, it is going to return float, and also the function is not passing any arguments from the calling function. Next is function definition. It will describe what is the task that is done by the function, and it is a block of statement which we have to write within parentheses. And remember that the function can return only one data type. It can return 0 values or it can return only one variable. It cannot return more than one variable. Next we have function call. Function call will be written mostly inside a main function, or it can be inside another function. And once the function is called, the control is passed to the called function. It will do that function, and once it encounters return statement, it will go back to the calling function.